Am I the jerk for canceling all of our streaming services to hire a housekeeper without asking my partner first? My husband and I just welcomed our first baby almost 3 months ago. It has been a huge adjustment for both of us. She is still not sleeping through the night, and we are both back to work full-time. We have always split the household responsibilities equally. We just help where needed, and it has always worked out well. Lately, my husband has been doing the chores poorly, and I have had to redo them. For example, he cleaned the bottles the other night, and they were cleaned so poorly that I had to do them again. He dropped pump parts down the disposal and then ran it, ruining them. He did not clean several clothes after a blowout, so they are now ruined. I have confronted him a few times, letting him know we all make mistakes and that I know we are both tired, but it feels like he is not even trying to do things well. He keeps saying he is so tired and is having a hard time working and taking care of the house and baby. I sympathize with this as I am also working, pumping, recovering, and taking care of the house and baby. The final straw for me was when he told me to go to sleep, and he would put up the milk I had just pumped and finish the dishes. I was so grateful until I got up and realized the milk had been sitting on the counter and was no good anymore. He said he was sorry and explained that he put on a show to relax for a bit before doing the dishes and fell asleep. The next day, I decided to cancel all of our streaming services, PlayStation Plus, and our theme park passes to hire a housekeeper. I figured if he is too tired to do basic household chores, then a housekeeper is necessary. If he is too tired to put milk up, then he is too tired to play video games or for us to go to a theme park. We still have cable, the PlayStation games, and can do other activities outside of the local theme park. He was furious and said I had no right to do that. So, am I the one at fault for hiring a housekeeper without asking? It's clear that frustration led to some impulsive decisions, which happen when emotions run high. While it's understandable to be upset when things like spoiled milk pile up, making unilateral decisions about expenses like hiring a housekeeper should have been a joint discussion. It's important for both parties to communicate and agree on such changes, especially when they involve bringing someone new into the home. Even if one person is more at fault, working together is key to preventing further strain on the relationship. Am I the jerk? My aunt messaged me and said I need to be nicer to my cousin. I am a 15-year-old female, and my cousin, a 21-year-old male named Dave, and I joke around a lot. We often tell each other to shut up and tease each other. This is how my cousins and I interact. Recently, my other cousin, a 16-year-old female, and I spent the night at our Aunt Claire's house where Dave also lives. Dave and I did not interact much during the visit. Dave mostly played video games while my cousin Claire and I watched Netflix. A few hours ago after getting home, I received a message from Claire. She expressed her concerns about the way I communicate with Dave. She mentioned that our main interactions involve me telling him to shut up, which she believes is hurting his feelings. Claire explained that Dave has been trying to improve how he interacts with others and wants to be friends with everyone. She suggested that I be nicer to him and communicate openly if something bothers me, as Dave is willing to listen and stop. In the past, Dave has gone too far when joking around, and when I told him to stop, he would ignore me and my cousin. Claire often intervenes in situations like this instead of having Dave handle his feelings directly. During our recent visit, I barely interacted with Dave because we were watching Netflix while he played a video game. When I did talk to him, I asked if I could join him for something soon. Later, I made a joke with him, and he invited me to see one of his new animals. Afterward, he told Claire I did something bad, which I hadn't done. I got upset and told him to shut up, but Claire reassured me it was just a joke. Am I the antagonist? Just forward the message to Dave and let them talk it out themselves. It seems like he's trying to paint himself as a victim to get more attention from his mother. That kind of behavior would make anyone want to reconsider the relationship. Lol, he's a grown-ass man. You are not the bad guy in this situation. Am I the jerk for telling my sister she needs to speak to her daughter and can't keep ignoring the problem? Please tell me if I was wrong. My sister has a blended family. Her daughter is 7 years old and is from her previous relationship. Her husband has 2 children, a son who is 14 years old and a daughter who is 12 years old. My sister has been married to her husband for 6 years. They met while she was pregnant and did not start dating for several months. From beginning a romantic relationship to marriage took about 6 months, and my sister's stepchildren knew her and my niece for less time than that. I think this has played a role in some of the problems. My sister and her husband have sole custody of their children, which means they have grown up together, and my niece does not know life without them. However, my sister's stepchildren do not consider my sister or niece family, and they have expressed that step-family is not real family in their eyes. My niece never knew they felt this way until she heard them both say it within a couple of days. She has noticed that they leave her out often but accepted the age gap as the reason. Hearing that they do not think of her as real family or step-families as real family has upset her. It was also distressing for her to hear that they apparently felt it was a bad thing if anyone thought she was their real family. My sister has told me that she does not want me to reinforce the idea that her stepchildren's views are permanent. She wants her daughter to believe that this will change and to keep loving them. I told my sister before that my niece is being set up for heartache, but she does not believe so. She is very firm about what family tells my niece. When my niece told me about what her step-siblings said, sought comfort from me, and cried on my shoulder, I knew I could not say anything, or my sister might limit contact. However, I know this cannot continue, so I spoke to my sister and told her that she needs to talk to her daughter. She cannot keep ignoring the problem because her daughter is hurting and confused, and it will do more harm for her to be left with questions and potentially doubting herself. I told her my niece does not deserve that. My sister told me to mind my own business and said I did not have the right to tell her how to be a mom. Am I the wrong one? Your sister's approach is not practical and is causing harm to her daughter. Step relationships can't be forced, but there should be rules of common courtesy to ensure no one feels like an outsider. It's important for the parents to make a united decision to address the situation. All you can do is support your niece and be there for her as a safe space. Am I the jerk for telling my mom I won't stop my partner from calling animal welfare if she gets a fourth dog? My mother, who is 56 years old, lives in a 2-bedroom apartment and currently has 1 cat and 3 Chihuahua dogs aged 8, 7, and 6 years old. While my mother adores them, she is not very active in training them and allows them to use puppy training pads indoors. Whenever we visit, the dogs are always barking, and even if my mother tells them to stop, they do not listen to her. My partner, who is 33 years old, and I have never been fond of her way of raising the animals, as they lack proper training, but we never said much about it. That was until my mother told me she was considering getting a 4th dog, and I initially said nothing. I brought it up to my partner, who shared my concern about the situation and the well-being of both the puppy and the 3 dogs she currently has. My partner even admitted he was considering informing animal welfare if she indeed got the dog. I know my partner well enough to understand he would not do this without cause, so I decided to call my mother to voice our concerns and ask her to really think it through. My mother is part of the lower income class, so if something were to happen, the vet bills would impact her greatly. Additionally, she is not in perfect health, and if something were to happen to her, we already cannot care for 3 dogs, let alone 4. Both my mother and I can be quite stubborn, and I admit I was getting frustrated that she was so set on getting another animal without thoroughly considering everything, including the well-being of all the animals involved. This is where I feel like I may have been in the wrong. I told my mother that if she insisted on getting this 4th dog, I would not stop my partner from calling animal welfare. I know this offended her greatly since she loves her dogs, and they love her despite everything. I feel bad for saying it, but I also feel that a 4th dog in an already small apartment is not good for her or the animals. It's pretty concerning that there's a noticeable difference between being passive about reporting and actively planning to do it together. Throwing a partner under the bus just seems like a way to deflect blame and avoid taking responsibility. The neighbors and landlord are probably already aware of the issues, given the noise and potential smell. It might be time to consider whether a mental health evaluation for your mom is more appropriate, as she seems to be struggling with her responsibilities. Am I the jerk for not inviting my cousin's stepson to my wedding? I am a 30-year-old female who got married last month. It was a small wedding with mostly family and really close friends. My family is quite large, as is my fiancé's, and because the cost per person was very high, we had to limit the guest list to 70 people. I was sad about not inviting some people who felt like family, such as my mom's neighbors and their children, but compromises had to be made. About 1 week before the wedding, my cousin, a 32-year-old male whom I only see once a year at Christmas, sent me a WhatsApp message. I thought he might not be able to attend, but his message said, "Hey, you're counting with T, my girlfriend's son, for the wedding, right? He is dating a woman who is 10 years older than him and has a 20-year-old son whom I have only seen once." I told him that we were not expecting him since the invitation only included his and his girlfriend's names, and I did not really know her son. He read my message but did not reply, so I moved on. On the wedding day, my cousin arrived with his girlfriend, and they did not speak to anyone. He did not even congratulate us, but I chose to ignore it. At the reception, they remained alone in a corner, and when my family approached them, they complained about how I excluded her son from the family. My aunts argued that they were in the wrong, pointing out that we had to exclude some important people and that her son is not a dependent child but an adult. Things escalated quickly, and they began yelling. I went over to ask what was wrong, and they called me entitled and accused me of being rude to his girlfriend. After being extremely rude, they left the wedding, loudly declaring that I was going to pay for their seats and that they were not gifting us. Everyone was shocked, and in the end, some of my aunts and cousins seemed to be against me, saying it was just one more person and it felt like I was excluding her son from the family. However, he is not my family, and I have only seen him once years ago. Was I really in the wrong? Should I have invited him? You are not in the wrong, especially when it comes to a once-a-year cousin who feels more like a distant acquaintance. It's ridiculous to consider someone like that as close, especially when they're acting like a stranger at important events. The jerk cousin should have just sent their regrets and stayed away instead of stirring up unnecessary drama. Stupid drama seekers need to check themselves and understand the boundaries. Am I the jerk for looking up my brother-in-law's girlfriend online? Hello, here is the story. My brother-in-law, a 23-year-old man, has been online dating a woman he met in an MMO. The woman is a 40-year-old from Brazil. My wife has been worried about this relationship, especially since her brother is planning to travel to see his girlfriend and stay with her for 4 months. He has even hinted at wanting to live in Brazil with her. She has concerns about the possibility of him being catfished, the age gap, being taken advantage of, getting scammed, and losing his money. She pretty much raised her brother and sees him as a very naive and sweet person. She is afraid that he could end up in a dangerous situation in another country without support and where he doesn't speak the language. She has been talking with him, giving him advice, and voicing her concerns. He always reassures her that he knows what he is doing, that it is not a catfishing situation, and that she should not worry about it. My wife did not want to look up this woman online, so I did it. I told my wife that I would do it, and if I found something suspicious, I would let her know. I believe that it was worth using publicly available information to judge if a person is trustworthy. My first results were 5 lawsuits against her, most of which involved legal issues with banks. I also found an inconsistency regarding where she told my brother-in-law that she worked. He told us she worked in it at a logistics company, but she works in it at an industrial company. This might have been due to his misunderstanding because of the language barrier, and the confusion is so minor that I don't think it was malicious. I also found out that she looks like an OnlyFans model, which made the possibility of catfishing more likely to me. Her social media accounts are all about her love of traveling, but she has 5 lawsuits issued by banks and apparently doesn't want to help my brother-in-law with travel expenses. I told my wife, who then spoke with her brother. He appreciated her concerns and tried to reassure her again. My wife decided she had done enough to warn him. He is an adult and can make his own choices. However, her brother told his girlfriend that we looked her up, and she is now furious, claiming that we violated her privacy. I maintain that we just checked what is publicly available online. I can see why she would be upset, but I don't think I did something horrible. What do you think? Am I the bad person here? You are not the bad guy in this situation. Looking up people met online is just a basic precaution and honestly smart. Her being furious over it is the biggest red flag yet, and it's understandable to be concerned for family. Given that she's far away, it's natural for people to read information connected to her. It's important to be cautious and look out for loved ones, even if it raises alarms. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.